Yes, guys, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy, back with another live stream. And we're going to speak about a couple of things, really many things to speak about. From Lokonga to a lot. There is a lot to speak about on this live show. Make sure you do smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Get involved in the comment section. Ask all your questions. Give me all your opinions about all the players we're going to speak about. I'm going to speak about Martin Odegaard and the transfer situation, the transfer stance of the player. He's literally going to stay at Real Madrid, and we're going to speak about that in just a minute. Arsenal are very serious about getting in Ben White and Lokonga. Actually, if you ask me, the latest two signings that Arsenal are really focused on, I think it is Lokonga and Ben White. And then we shall also speak about Andre Onana, because according to Goal.com, I think it's Charles Watts who has written that Arsenal are in a transfer dilemma. We could lose Andre Onana to another Premier League rival team, because it looks like we might not be able to give him that number one spot at the club. So that's what we're going to discuss in this video. Please make sure you do smash a like on the video, and make sure you subscribe, because a lot is going to be spoken about in this video. If you do like the content, consider subscribing and consider putting a like as well. So let's get into it. In the morning, I wanted to speak about Manuel Locatelli. So I'll begin there. And it was Eduardo Hagen who broke the news yesterday, and he said Arsenal are ready to offer 40 million euros for Manuel Locatelli. However, the player's preference is Juventus. Sao Solo president is informed of the interest from abroad, and that was according to Sky Sports Italia. I wanted to speak about this in the morning, but somehow I forgot. I forgot to speak about it. Now, Manuel Locatelli is an Italian forward, an Italian creative midfielder. He's a very interesting guy who's been linked with us. I don't think he's been linked with us so closely, like many people would say. I think the links are not so close, but honestly, I should say that there is genuine interest from Arsenal. Arsenal are genuinely interested in signing Manuel Locatelli from Italy, and the club, his parent club, Sao Solo, apparently saying they know of the interest. They're aware of the interest from a foreign club, which is apparently Arsenal, but the player's preference is Juventus. He wants to join Juventus first. So it looks like we are not so lucky with that one. We might not actually get him. If Juventus, obviously, if the player is Italian and they're wanted by Juventus, you stand a very little chance. The only way you can beat Juventus to an Italian player is if they don't want him. But depending on the reputation and how Juventus are, how attractive they are, because they didn't win the Italian Serie A, which is a little bit unfortunate for them, because they've been used to that. They've been actually accustomed to it, but they're still very attractive. Today, UEFA have just announced that Juventus will be taking part in the UEFA Champions League next season. So they're still very attractive as a club, better than us. So I don't see us, doing the Manuel Locatelli deal. However, reports are saying Arsenal are ready to offer close to 40 million euros, and this is where I don't get it with Arsenal. This is where it becomes totally crazy. 40 million euros. That's the same amount of money we failed to pay to get Emi Buendia. It's the same amount of money, because what they wanted was something like 35 million pounds, something like 36 million pounds. And I believe we had the ability to do that. We had the ability to pay for that, and we refused. Now, we are ready to pay 40 million euros for Manuel Locatelli, who's a little bit more experienced. But if you consider the level of experience Emi Buendia has had in the Premier League and the Championship, I think the better deal to do in terms of Arsenal would have been Emi Buendia, especially basing on the fact that in the first scenario with Buendia, you're fighting with Aston Villa in the second scenario with Manuel Locatelli, you're fighting with Juventus. It's easier to go for the Buendia deal, but that's bygone. That's already bygone. So according to Eduardo Hagen, Arsenal are ready to pay 40 million euros, the same money, the same amount of money we had to pay to get Emi Buendia, and it's really crazy. But I've seen a report from the Athletic today, and what they have been saying is a little bit true because the Athletic and how aggressive they are. What they have been saying is a little bit true, and it makes a lot of sense now. They have been saying that Arsenal will actually make signings, but these signings will be backed up with their player sales. So it looks like we have to sell on our players. We have to move on our players in order to buy. So it only shows us that probably Arsenal cannot sign players in this transfer market if we do not, if we do not sell. So we have to wait for the likes of Hector Bellerin, the likes of Granit Xhaka, the likes of Matteo Guendouzi to make permanent transfers to other clubs, to Marseille, to Roma, to Villarreal. I've seen Hector Bellerin has been heavily linked with Villarreal, and his agent, is already in talks with Villarreal officials. So it looks like we have to fast sell in order to buy. And my question there is, why is it taking why is it taking so long for us to move on these players? Why is it taking so long for Arsenal to eventually get these players out of the way? But that is the first story, Eduardo Hagan. It's not in the title, but finally, we have spoken about him, honestly. So the next story, it comes from Gadget, and they're saying, according to the Mirror, Arsenal have already held talks with Wolves over a potential transfer for Ruben Neves, but are yet to go any further. So this is another story that I think I've spoken about in the last 48 hours. And now the Mirror are saying Arsenal have held talks with Wolves over a potential transfer of Ruben Neves, but nothing has actually advanced. It's believed that Wolves want around 34 or 35 million pounds. That is money that Arsenal can pay. I mean, honestly, if I think about it, we can't pay that. We can't pay that much, around 35 million pounds. But I'm a little bit skeptical. I'm really skeptical about Ruben Neves, not him as a player or the quality, but the deal. I don't see it, really happen. I don't see it really happen, out of the blue. And that takes me to the real target for today, and that is Sambi Lokonga. Now, we have had a couple of reports reported around Sambi Lokonga, and let us go with this. According to James Oley, Arsenal have been told a fee of around 17.2 million will be just enough to land Lokonga. Talks are ongoing as they consider an improved second offer. The first one was actually rejected. Now, today, we woke up to news that Arsenal had been bounced. We had, the first offer we had offered for Albert Sambi Lokonga, that Belgian international, 21 years of age, had been rejected. And I mean, there are so many reports around the figure. I can't really tell how much was it, but I believe it was around. It was between 13 or 12.9 to 13.9 million euros. I think that's the region. But there is a lot in terms of the offer. Many people saying 16, 15, 17. But it looks like Anderlecht are more interested in a figure that is at least 17.2 million. And they're saying that a figure around that amount will be just enough for Arsenal to actually land Sambi Lokonga. He's a midfielder, and when I look at him, of course, there are so many reports that he's been recommended by Thierry Daniel Henry. Many reports are looking at that. Many reports are looking in that area, in that direction. That Sambi Lokonga has been recommended by Thierry Daniel Henry, who has worked with him on the Belgium national team. But if I look at Sambi Lokonga, and I said this in the morning, if I look at Lokonga, he is more of a player who is a little bit advanced. Now, if you look at his price tag and his age, and you compare him to Yavis Bissouma, obviously Bissouma is 24. He has the experience. He has a lot to offer in terms of that area. But if you still remember what Fabrizio said, he said Arsenal were looking for someone who has a diverse, skill set, someone who's a little bit richer in terms of what they can offer. And I want to be forced to believe that Lokonga is that kind of player, because if you look at what Lokonga provides with Anderlecht, what he offers is that ability to switch play from one wing to another, that ability for the midfield to provide a shield to the defense, that ability to move the ball from back to forth. I think that is what Sambi Lokonga, provides. He's a little bit more versatile. Now, I don't want to pour, much praise onto him, because I've not watched much of him. I've not even watched any 90 minutes of Sambi Lokonga playing, so I cannot really come out and say he is the right player. He is the best player for Arsenal in regards to that area. But what I can tell is what we are looking for is someone who is more and more gifted, very, very active, and has more to offer than just a CDM, than just a CM. I think what Mikel Arteta is trying to do, why the likes of Yavis Bissouma may not actually sign for Arsenal eventually, he's trying to build that kind of team that has a lot of quality. I think it might not be Mikel Arteta. It could be anyone who's overseeing the rebuild at Arsenal. I think they're trying to get players that have lots and lots of quality. If you look at Gabriel Magalhaes when he signed for Arsenal, and you look at players like now Thomas Partey, if you look at the players we have been linked with, the likes of Locatelli, the likes of Bissouma, the likes of Lokonga, the likes of Eduardo Camavinga. It looks like we want to build a young generation of a young team, a long-lasting generation that has lots and lots of talent. I can't tell if Mikel Arteta is the person building this. I can't tell if if he wants to create a blueprint that Manchester City have, and that's why he's trying to solicit this kind of talent. But what I can believe and what I can see is Arsenal are not much interested in getting Yavis Bissouma. They actually want someone who's a little bit cheaper based on our financial constraints, but they also want that kind of player who is very versatile. Very versatile. And I think this is where I want to believe that the interest in Donny van der Beek was a little bit real. Yes, I know, it's a deal that we would never do. It's a deal that would never happen. But if you look at Donny, he's literally a number 8 who can play as a number 10. And that is what Arsenal are trying to build, a formidable army that can actually beat anyone, an army that has that quality to surpass any other club on any other day. So Sambi Lokonga, we still wait for negotiations. The problem with Arsenal is in the next 48 hours, this deal will be gone. But it's a deal that is not hard to do. His valuation stands at 17, and you have made an initial offer of around 13 million euros. So the difference is around 5 to 6 million pounds. If you negotiate with Anderlecht, I think on the second bid, they will accept Sambi Lokonga to go. And I think it's not something very difficult. If Arsenal are really interested in this deal, they will do it. But at the moment, I think he's one of the players that are really, really, really genuinely on the radar of Arsenal. Now, we also have to talk about a new player. Well, not a new player, but one player that we have not really talked about so much. And that player is Manor Solomon. Now, a couple of, I don't know what I should say, but a couple of weeks ago, I reported about Manor Solomon. And in my reporting, I said Arsenal had confirmed their interest. They want to sign Manor Solomon. And of course, the deal ended there. I mean, there was not so much to talk about in that regard. Finally, in the end, it has come out that Arsenal are about to make an offer for Manor Solomon. He plays with Shakhtar Donetsk. He's a winger, and that's where I don't get it. That is where I don't get it. Yes, I know he's interesting. Edu likes the player. Mikel likes the player, but I don't get it. I don't know why we would sign in a winger at the moment. But most of the reports are saying Arsenal are about to consolidate their interest formally with Shakhtar Donetsk to get the player. And actually, there are more reports. There were reports, I think, a week ago or a week and a half ago that the player was already looking for houses in London. And he's a player that we've been linked with since January. But what I want to say about this is if Arsenal signed in a winger, I would be happy. I'll be glad because we need the squad depth. And I'm really one person who is in love with squad depth. If you've been following my channel, you know how much I love a club like Arsenal to have what you call squad depth. But what I don't understand in this regard is why would we actually make Manor Solomon our priority signing? If you look at him, if you look at the way he plays, he is young. I think he's 21 or 22 years of age. He's a very young player. Unless you have ambitions of transforming him into a central attacking midfielder, there's absolutely no reason why Arsenal should go for a player like Manor Solomon. Absolutely no reason at the moment. He's not our priority, and I don't think among the list of priorities we have a winger. I don't think Arsenal should go for a winger, but of course there's so many reports saying that Arsenal will try to go for Manor Solomon. Shakhtar want around 25 million euros in the player, but Arsenal are apparently thinking and weighing up a deal that would be in the region of around 20 million euros. So let us wait and see where that one will end as well. Now, lastly, as we speak, I think we should speak about two players. Lastly, the first one is Taylor Adams. Is a right back, and according to now.Arsenal, they have said Arsenal target and RB Leipzig right back. Taylor Adams tweets from 2015 only show that he's been a Gunners fan. So we've been linked with another right back who's Taylor Adams. Brilliant, isn't it? Very, very brilliant. But what I can say about the right back situation is we have delayed. We have really delayed. I mean, depending on how awful, how poor our season has been, there is no justification we can give as a club whether we're going to fund our own transfers or not. There's no justification we can give as a club for us to have not signed a right back at the moment. We have been linked with so many players, from Max Aarons to Taylor Adams to Demi Fresh, to so many players who can play down that side, but no one, absolutely no one, has come out as a concrete target. And this is my problem with Arsenal. By the end of the transfer summer, we shall go and sign in someone, a panic buy. We shall go and sign in someone who is not up to standard. We have a lot of time. Well, look, I don't care if it's Taylor Adams. I don't care if it's Tariq Lamptey. We need an upgrade in a right back position, and I think we should act quickly. I don't know what is taking so long with all these deals. I don't know what is taking so long. Again, today, there have been reports of Arsenal tracking Ben White, and they're still saying that Brighton are still looking at around 40 million euros. So, I mean, we are linked with more and more players, which is not bad. In my case, it's not very, very bad that we're linked with more players. It shows that we are active, somewhat active in the summer. But I don't get it. Why we are not having any deals broken? That's the problem. Why aren't any deals getting broken? Why aren't we actually doing anything in terms of Arsenal trying to get to get deals done? Hey bro, I'm waiting as ever. Let's hope that you're coming with the deal. At the moment, there is nothing. Actually, I have even more disappointing, news. Arsenal could lose the signature of Andre. Now, with Andre Onana, this is a deal that's very difficult, very very difficult. I don't think. Look, it's as easy as it can be. Like I said earlier in my first videos, Arsenal know the price. It is 9 million euros. You pay the money, you have the player. The problem with this deal is as simple as this. Arsenal are not willing to let Burnley go in this transfer window. Onana is not willing to be a backup goalkeeper, and I think it's the problem why Arsenal have not actually signed Matt Ryan on a permanent deal. What we are trying to do is we are still waiting to see if we can get Onana and then make him a backup goalkeeper, and then make Ben Leno our first choice goalkeeper. Leno is never going to be a second choice goalkeeper to Andre Onana, and Onana doesn't want to be a second choice goalkeeper. A second choice goalkeeper to ban Leno. So that is the problem. What do you do? I mean, we could find ourselves in the same situation we were in last summer when we had Leno and Emi Martinez, two quality goalkeepers, and we have a manager who cannot actually harness all that talent. But I think with Andre Onana, he wants to join Arsenal. His priority is to play with Arsenal. He wants to be at the club. The only problem you have with Onana is he doesn't want to be a second choice goalkeeper. He wants to be a first choice keeper, and he deserves it. He's one of the best goalkeepers. You're gonna think about on the African on the African continent. And I think in terms of developing talents, in in goalkeeping, if you look at the likes of Gigi Donnarumma, that young breed of goalkeepers, you can think about Andre Onana as well. I think he deserves to be a first choice goalkeeper somewhere. So it's as difficult as that. It's very very difficult as that. How are you doing, Lail Kev? Hope you're doing well. Hi bro, how are you doing? How are you doing, Adam? We linked with everyone. Lol. I mean, yeah, and that's the nature of Arsenal transfers. I think if anyone, if you're a new Arsenal fan, you're gonna get really frustrated with Arsenal transfers. But if you're not a new Arsenal fan, if you've been supporting Arsenal for the last maybe 7 or 10 or 20 or 50 years, you know how our transfers work. They're really that slow, really that slow. Cossy, is Lokonga is the same level with the likes of Kamavinga? Oh, yeah, yes. I think it's the same level with the likes of Kamavinga. But if you ask me honestly, I think Kamavinga is a little bit ahead. Yeah, Kamavinga is a little bit ahead, but Lokonga is also in that category of players. He's also in that group of players. If Arsenal signed him eventually, I think he will make a very great signing. He will make a very good player. Just 21 years of age. If you look at the same, the age bracket, they're in the same bracket. They're in that same age bracket. Kamavinga has proven a little bit. He's been in France, and I think I don't know whether it is the media that has actually hyped him, but I think he's a little bit ahead of Lokonga. But he is in that in that category as well, in that bracket. Arsenal should sell Leno and get Onana to be our first choice. The problem with Andre Onana is you cannot use him as your first choice goalkeeper until November, and Arsenal are very very reluctant to let ban Leno. So we are not really. I mean, I thought this summer would be even better than last summer. But this summer is bogus. This summer is absolutely bogus. Absolutely bogus. Do we compare Lokonga with the likes of Kamavinga? Yeah, exactly, bro. Yeah, that's it. Arsenal must buy quality players. You need the quality. We need the quality to get back to to that level we want to. But it's gonna be very hard. Tell me, those all in players that are remaining in the club. I didn't really understand that. What were you trying to say there, bro? Okay. And Polite says hi. How are you doing, Polite? So with our transfer situation at the moment, I think, look, Fabrizio said something interesting. He said Aston will sign in a midfielder, and that is something positive. So I don't want us to be very negative, because if the moment we get negative, it's gonna even become, boring and boring and boring and boring. So now, on a positive note, I think we'll get in the midfielder. By the beginning of the summer, we wanted to get in two midfielders. That might not happen. Honestly, that might not happen. We could get in around one midfielder and a right back and probably a backup left back. So I think Arsenal will get in around 3 players or 4 players. At the moment, we don't have any deals clause. We don't have any deals very likely. Sorry for that. So all I can say at the moment is Arsenal are still in negotiations. I think you think about Lokonga, you think about Ben White, and the rest is really, really speculation. There is nothing much Arsenal is really talking about. Shabu, thank you so much. He says we must sign Jack Grealish and Sterling. Look, I've seen the Sterling rumors. I've seen Arsenal linked with Raheem Sterling, and I've reported about them. The Jack Grealish deal is out of our world. Now, it's ridiculous for an Arsenal fan to say this, but honestly, it is out of our world. We're never gonna sign Jack Grealish, honestly. And with Raheem Sterling, can he come down at Arsenal? It could be the manager. I think the only chance we have to sign Raheem Sterling is the manager. Apart from that, I don't see any reason. Cossy, how is Uganda? I'm really tired of the way Arsenal board is running transfers, and that's the way we've been running our transfers. That is the way we've been running our transfers. It has not changed, in a little bit. It has not changed. What is all this nonsense Arsenal doing every day? Rumors, no signings. Like I said, if you're a new Arsenal fan, you're gonna get frustrated. You've got to be very, very patient with Arsenal. Very patient. Arsenal should stop being crap at the moment. We must sign quality players to get it together. This is Emmanuel. And then Salihu says hi. Arsenal need quality players in that squad. I think everybody sees that. There's nobody who can't see that. Everybody sees that. Arsenal need the quality players. Are we gonna get in the quality? I don't think so. I think it's gonna be 1 or 2 quality players, and then the rest we shall try to pick around here and there. The Cronkies are never gonna back us, so we are back to square one. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. And I'll speak to you. I'll speak about Eddie Nketiah's future. I think that's the last video I'll do today. So I'll be back at exactly around 10, and we shall speak. I'll speak about Eddie Nketiah, because he's been offered a new deal, and there's so many clubs interested. Apparently, I don't know what Arsenal is gonna do with his transfer situation, but I'll speak to you about that. Have a nice time.